There is a strange financial advantage that almost nobody talks about, and it has nothing to do with earning more money. It has nothing to do with finding the perfect investment, and it definitely has nothing to do with never buying coffee again. It is much simpler than that. The less you need, the easier it becomes to become wealthy. Most of us spend our lives trying to solve money problems by increasing one number: income, more salary, more clients, more money coming in, and yes, earning more helps. But almost nobody asks the opposite question. What if you simply needed less? Not because you became cheap, not because you stopped enjoying your life, but because fewer things had the power to convince you that your life wasn't good enough yet. That is the financial side of minimalism, because minimalism isn't really about owning 3 shirts and living in an empty apartment. It's about knowing what is enough. And financially, that can change everything, because the biggest expense in your life might not be your house, or your car, or your food. It might be the constant feeling that something is missing. The purchase that never stays exciting. Think about the last thing you really wanted: a phone, a car, shoes, something for your home. Before you bought it, there was a little story in your head. Once I get this, things will feel better. Then you buy it, and for a while, it works. You enjoy it. Then something predictable happens. It becomes normal. The new phone becomes your phone. The new car becomes your car, and your attention moves to the next thing. This is where the financial treadmill begins. Not with one ridiculous purchase, but with normal purchases becoming normal so quickly that you need another one to recreate the feeling. The problem isn't that you enjoy buying things. The problem is that satisfaction keeps expiring. So your income has to keep feeding it. That is why someone can double their salary and still feel almost as financially stressed as before. Their income got bigger, but so did the life required to satisfy them. One upgrade can create 5 more. Sometimes one purchase doesn't stay one purchase. You buy a nicer couch. Now the old coffee table looks wrong. You upgrade your phone. Now your headphones feel outdated. You move into a bigger house. Now you need furniture to fill rooms you never had before. One upgrade becomes another, then another. And before long, the expensive part isn't the first purchase. It's the new standard that came with it. Once something becomes normal, going backward feels like losing something. Minimalism interrupts that cycle by asking, do I actually want this thing? Or do I want the feeling I think this thing will give me? Those are not always the same. And learning the difference can save you an extraordinary amount of money. Sometimes you're buying for someone who doesn't exist. Open your closet, your garage, your drawers. Look at the things you barely use and ask yourself, who did I buy this for? Sometimes the answer isn't you. It's an imaginary version of you. The version who camps every weekend. The version who becomes a home chef. The version who gets organized as soon as they buy the perfect planner. We often spend money creating identities instead of actually living them. Buying running shoes feels a little like becoming a runner. Buying books feels a little like becoming smarter. Buying productivity tools feels a little like becoming productive. But eventually, the shoes sit in the cupboard, the books remain unread, and the planner stops on page 12. Now your house is full of evidence of lives you paid for but never actually lived. So ask yourself, am I buying this for the person I actually am, or the person I like imagining I might become? Once you stop funding imaginary versions of yourself, a surprising amount of money stays in your bank account. But the purchase price is only part of the story, because everything you own keeps charging you. Everything you own wants something from you. A car needs insurance, maintenance, fuel. A bigger house needs more furniture, more cleaning, more repairs. Even small things need space, organization, attention. Every possession creates a tiny job. Store me, clean me, charge me, fix me, replace me. Think about me. One object barely matters. Hundreds do. And this is where minimalism becomes financial. Because everything you decide you don't need is not just money you don't spend today. It's future expenses that never begin. The car you don't upgrade, the room you don't need to fill, the subscription you never start. Financial minimalism isn't simply spending less, it's stopping unnecessary expenses before they become normal. And once you understand that, you start seeing the real price of everything differently. Because every dollar you spend represents something else, your time. The work to spend loop. Imagine you earn $25 an hour. A $500 purchase isn't just $500. It's hours of your life. Hours spent working, commuting, answering emails, sitting in meetings. Now that doesn't mean the purchase is bad. Some things are absolutely worth the hours you trade for them, but most people never make that connection. They work because they need money. Then they spend because work made them stressed. Then they need to keep working because they spent the money. Work, spend. Work more, spend more. And as income rises, the cycle gets more expensive. The cheap holiday becomes the luxury holiday. The normal car becomes the premium car. The small house becomes the bigger house. And suddenly, you need the job more than ever. The same job you wanted money to help you escape. This is the paradox of financial minimalism. Someone earning less, but needing less, can sometimes have more freedom than someone earning twice as much, who needs every paycheck to maintain their lifestyle. Because freedom isn't only about how much money you make. It's about how much of your money your life requires. Wealth lives in the gap. Imagine two people. Both earn $80,000 a year. One builds a lifestyle that consumes almost everything. The other builds a life they genuinely enjoy, that costs much less. From the outside, the first person might look richer. Bigger house, newer car, more visible success. But every year, the second person has something the first doesn't. A gap. A gap between what they earn and what they need. And that gap can become savings, investments, a business, time off, freedom. 5 years pass, then 10. One person's lifestyle consumed almost everything they earned. The other person's lifestyle quietly funded their independence. That is the financial advantage of minimalism. It creates a bigger gap without requiring you to earn $1 more. And it does something else. It lowers the amount of money you need to feel free.
Yes.
The less your life costs, the less freedom costs. Ask someone why they want more money. Eventually, the answer is rarely, so I can stare at a bigger bank balance. They want freedom, less stress, more time, more choices. But many people spend their way further away from those exact things. They buy the bigger house and need the job more. They finance the nicer car and lose flexibility. They upgrade their lifestyle and wonder why freedom still feels 20 years away. Minimalism asks a different question. Instead of, what else can I afford? It asks, what do I actually need to have a life I love? If your lifestyle requires $100,000 a year, freedom is expensive. If you genuinely love a life that costs much less, the number required to support it is smaller too. So minimalism makes you wealthier from both directions. You keep more money today, and you need less money tomorrow. But there's another reason people struggle to spend less. Sometimes, they're not really buying the thing. Sometimes you're buying a feeling. You've had a terrible day, so you order food, you're bored, so you browse online, you're stressed, so you buy something. And for a few minutes, it works. There's novelty, anticipation. Then the food is eaten, the package is opened, and the feeling disappears. But the money doesn't come back. This is why minimalism isn't really about possessions. It's about understanding your impulses. Ask, why do I want this right now? Maybe you're tired, bored, comparing yourself to someone. Maybe an advertisement made you feel incomplete. And sometimes, the solution you were trying to buy was never for sale. Rest, a walk, calling someone, doing something meaningful. Minimalism saves money because it stops asking shopping to solve problems shopping was never capable of solving. And if this way of thinking about money feels different from the usual advice of cutting every small pleasure out of your life, that's exactly what we explore on this channel. So if you want to get smarter with money without turning your life into a spreadsheet, Subscribe. Because there is one word that may be more valuable to your finances than almost any budgeting trick. The most profitable word you can learn: enough. No company is trying to sell you that word. Nobody makes money when you decide. Your phone is good enough. Your car is good enough. Your home is good enough. The entire consumer economy works better when you remain slightly dissatisfied. There must always be something newer, better, missing. But the person who knows what enough looks like becomes incredibly difficult to sell to. That doesn't mean never buying anything. It means deciding what matters, instead of letting someone else decide for you. And that's why minimalism is not the same as being cheap. Sometimes the minimalist choice costs more. Buying one thing you genuinely love instead of 5 things you barely use. Buying something that lasts instead of constantly replacing it. The goal isn't how little money can I spend, it's how little waste can I create. Because minimalism isn't deciding that nothing matters. It's becoming extremely clear about what does. The real minimalist money secret. Minimalism probably won't make you rich overnight, but it can change the mathematics of your entire financial life. You buy fewer things you don't care about. You avoid endless upgrade chains. You stop funding imaginary versions of yourself. You reduce expenses before they become permanent. You need less income to maintain your lifestyle. And you create more space to save, to invest, to breathe. Most people try to become richer by endlessly increasing one number: income. Minimalism works on the other side. It reduces the number required for you to feel like you already have enough. And when you earn more, while needing less, the gap grows. Inside that gap, you find savings, options, time, freedom. So the next time you're about to buy something, don't only ask, "Can I afford this?" Ask, "What will owning this require from me?" More money? More maintenance? More space? More attention? More hours of my life? And then ask, is it worth it? Because becoming wealthier isn't always about getting better at adding things to your life. Sometimes it's about finally realizing how little you actually need to have enough. If this video changed the way you think about spending, subscribe. And if you watched all the way to the end, thank you. We genuinely appreciate you spending part of your time with us. Because unlike money, time is one thing you can never earn back. So spend it just as intentionally as your money.